Da-da-da-da-da. Good morning, Bravehearts, and good morning, Garfield, New Jersey. Welcome back to Marv in the morning. How you doing out there? Feels good to be here. Feels mondo good to be here, Bravehearts. Um, Episode 35. 35 episodes in, baby. How did we do it? How's this possible? Let me look at my clock. How is that even possible? But it's Marv in the morning, episode 35. My name is Marv. I am the producer. I am the creative director. I am the owner of Bravery Studios. And welcome. So today's topic, holy moly guacamole. Today's topic is podcasting. Is podcasting art? Is it art? Is it art? Timestamps are going to be in the description if you're watching post live. You get the time travel to the point of the meat and potatoes of the stream. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We have a sub goal of 500 subscriptions. Right now we're at 245, so almost halfway. Gonna hit 500 before the end of the year. Let's hit 500 before the end of the year. How about that? Let's hit 500 before the end of the year, Bravehearts. Listen, Valor Room's ready. The Valor Room is ready for booking. Head over to braverystudios.com. Book your session in the Valor Room. And if you're a membership here, if you're on a membership, you're part of the Bravery family, you can easily switch over to that room by using the membership emails that you receive each month. Select the room you want, and you can use it. And more rooms coming, more big things coming. We're working out partnerships with other studios in New Jersey. We are making our event space podcast ready. So if anyone ever wants to do a podcast with an audience, the event space, which I call Destiny Hall, is going to be available for podcasting as well. And we have our kitchen space here. I haven't come up with a cool name for the kitchen space yet, but that's coming soon. That's going to be set up for podcasting as well, or any kind of a food-based podcasting experience. You're actually going to be able to see the kitchen. Man, I'm getting all these notifications right now, and it's like scattering my mind. You're gonna be able to see the kitchen space being used tonight on the Casey Gonzalez interview on Live from Bravery Studios. Me and Casey chopped it up. Casey, the king of ramen, New Jersey's king of ramen. Shout out to him, man. The guy is on fire right now. His system of creating a hype and demand for his food, for his ramen bowls, is setting the internet ablaze right now. And I keep forgetting to order. I mean, I got to get on that, man, because this guy's right next door to me over here. So I got to get up with Casey. Got to get myself a bowl of Tenmomi ramen. And yeah, man, shout out to him. So yeah, you're going to be able to see the kitchen space there. So yeah, tonight, or maybe that's still today. I don't know. Is the sun still going to be out? Today at 5 p.m. Eastern time, the Casey interview will be releasing. Casey Gonzalez, Tenmomi Ramen. I've decided that, we're going to have to drop 2 episodes a week online from Bravery Studios. I actually put together a Google spreadsheet. Shout out to Google Sheets. I don't know what I do without Google over here. But yes, I actually had to set up a Google Sheet to see when every episode is recorded and when every episode will release. Listen, I've already interviewed. I lost count already how many people I've already interviewed, and it's bonkers that I've gone through them so fast. I've just already accumulated about 10 interviews in the past 2 months, so that's pretty incredible. Maybe it's more than 10 at this point. It might be even more. I gotta look at the sheet again, but yeah, I did the spreadsheet. I saw the release dates. If I release only on Saturdays, I will have interviews up to March. I will be backed up all the way up to March. So stuff that we spoke about in the fall will only be heard Yeah, I heard about in the springtime. So I'm like, I can't do that. No, we're gonna have to drop 2 episodes a week. I didn't even realize I was interviewing so many people. I've been having so much fun doing this. The time is kind of flying by that I haven't even realized the amount of people that I've interviewed thus far. It's kind of bonkers to think about it. It's kind of bonkers. Yeah, it's like gone by so fast. And yeah, man. And it's been a fun ride. Listen, from Jason Enrique, the first episode, um, I felt like I wasn't doing my best at interview. I feel like I didn't really make it as entertaining or feed him the right questions to get the right answers out of him, get interesting things for him to say. As a interviewer, as a journalist, I should be asking the right questions. It's like a pitcher in baseball. You throw the ball and you make it possible for the batter to hit a home run. So yeah, in podcasting, it's the same way. I'm the one that's supposed to pitch the ball a particular way to get this guy to hit a home run. And I don't think I did it that first episode. I don't even think I did it the second episode or the third. I think I came into it. It got better by like the fourth or fifth interview. And it really was a case of sharpening my sword with each interview. And a lot of people that I interviewed in the beginning, I want to bring them back. And I definitely want to give them a better interview. But yeah, this has all been an experience of sharpening my sword, getting better with it. I've never really been the interview guy. To be honest with you. It's always really been like, hey, I want to do podcasting. I want to have discussions about things that I'm interested in. But coming up with questions on the fly, under the pressure of a recording and under the pressure of time, never really been good at it. But I've gotten better. Like, who would have thought? If you want to get good at something, you just have to do it a lot. Who would have thought, right? Bonkers concept. Mondo bonkers concept. But yeah, if you want to get good at something, just do it a lot. And hey, look, it's been working. I've gotten better at it. And I feel like the last batch of interviews that I've done have been amazing experience. We got Lorenita La Poeta coming out this Saturday at 10 a.m. That was a great experience. Breathing, meditation, spirituality, stones, all that jazz. Great time speaking with her and picking her brain and just her expanding my consciousness. I felt like amazing interview. I could have done that interview could have been 3 hours long. Honestly, we could have done that for 3 hours. Then Lainey, Alita, oh my god, when you guys see the Alita interview, wait till you guys get a load of that, man. Wait till you guys get a load of that one. That was that was mind blowing too. Everyone gotta see meeting people from Memphis, interviewing them. Gotta see all the guys there. That was an amazing experience. Shout out to Spec, shout out to Ash, shout out to Austin. Amazing experience overall. Amazing experience. I think I'm having so much fun doing this. Way more fun than I had years ago. I attempted something similar with the Bravery Up podcast. I got to interview the mayor of my hometown. Got to interview some podcasters. But I really didn't feel like I was doing my best with that. And that kind of turned me off to saying, maybe I'm not the interview guy. Maybe that's not my thing. But this has definitely brought me back into it. And I've always been a people person, so I don't know why I couldn't pull it off before. But now I'm kind of knocking it out the park out of here. So great time doing it, like I said. Great time. Boy, that's hot. Oh boy, that's hot. One more sip. Let's see. I'll give it a little kiss. But yeah, Bravehearts. The daily shout out today. Now, usually these daily shout outs are reserved for podcasters on the come up. Podcasters that record here in Bravery Studios that are part of the Bravery Studio family. But I thought today I can make one exception for this podcast that I discovered through Spotify. And I discovered it through just stumbling, searching through, looking for music to listen to. I usually am a podcast watcher. I will put podcasts on a TV screen, and I'll be doing a whole bunch of other jazz on the side when I absorb that information by form of osmosis. So for the first time, I actually discovered a podcast on Spotify that I really liked. And the title is what caught me. And the title of that podcast actually inspired today's episode of Marv in the Morning. Because I don't know if you remember the post I put up yesterday. I was going to discuss the podcast that I enjoyed working with the most. But, I was thinking, you know what? That could wait. That'd be a great episode for down the road. But this new concept that just arrived to me by discovering this podcast, I feel like it's more important. Not more important people I work with, but we got DX the grrr in the chat. He said, "Who? Mike Jones? Who's Mike Jones? Who's that?" Anyway, so shout out to the podcast that I discovered yesterday. Make art, not content. Now, like I said, I found them randomly on Spotify. And before even listening to a single episode, I knew I was going to like this podcast because it just sparked something. It made me a concept in my head like, wait, is it art that we're making or is it just content? Are we just making content or is it art? Yes. So check them out. This is their Spotify page here. Let's full screen that jazz. Give you guys a tour. Make art, not content. And this is. I listened to the Frida Kahlo episode, and I was like, man, this is awesome jazz right here. Like, I gotta like live through this. I gotta go down this rabbit hole with this podcast because they really did. It really did tickle my brain when I saw this podcast. So yeah, they inspired this episode. Just the title of this podcast alone inspired this episode. DX the Great says, the dude in the background frame shaking my head. Dude, who are you talking about? Mike Jones, who? I don't know who DX is talking about right now. Anyway, yeah, man, make art, not content. Shout out to them. Check them out. They inspired this episode. They have short episodes, they're like 10-minute long episodes. From what I've seen, definitely a dope experience, dope listening, really inspiring stuff too on there. It brings the artist out of you, and I feel like podcasting needs more artists. And like I said, that's the topic of today's episode. That's the meat and potatoes. Is podcasting art? Is it art, baby? Is it Don Quixote? Or is it the Expendables? Let me chill, because Expendables could be art. Expendables could be art, right? Yeah, Expendables is art. It's not just a piece of content. Let's have that conversation, though. Let's have that conversation, baby. Let's separate art from content, right? Is what Beyonce does is art, right? There's no argument, right? She's not just putting out content. She's not just going through an algorithm and saying this is what the people want to hear right now. Let me create something that will appease them and make me money. Or is it like she's like with a paintbrush, and she's like, and then like, boom, Drunken Love comes out, or any of the other great songs she has, right? Is it art or is it just content, right? Is who else is like big right now? Bad Bunny. I don't think I've ever really sat and listened to an entirety of a Bad Bunny song. I think I've walked through hallways where I've heard him playing in the background. I don't know if I've ever really sat down and listened to dude. But shout out to him. Him being Latino is a big deal for all Latinos. So shout out to him. Definitely got to show support just for that fact. He's lucky. He has my support just because of that. But realistically, is what he does just a bullet points, checking off bullet points. So like, I'm gonna make a song here. I'm gonna show up in this movie. I'm gonna show up in wrestling. I'm gonna show up in a Brad Pitt movie, and I'm gonna just show my face everywhere and conquer the entirety of the planet by form of just hit or miss. Like, always just show up. Like, you never know. Just show up. Showing up is half the battle, right? Or like I said, is he with the paintbrush? Is it a team making his decisions? Is it by algorithmic formula, or is it like the paintbrush? Is it like that, right? But podcasters, how many podcasts out there are art? Is Joe Rogan going to be remembered in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years? You know, are they going to be talking about Joe Rogan in 100 years? The way we talk about Mozart, the way we talk about, like, I don't know, like the philosophers from ancient Greece. Like, these people revolutionized and changed the way that people thought, right? Changed the landscape of thinking entirely. Is Joe Rogan Edgar Allan Poe? Where, like, we don't understand his genius until after he's left this earth? Are all podcasters like that? Will they, like, there's so many podcasts out there, right? Will it be a situation of like, hey, we didn't understand the genius of this podcast until many years later? We didn't see the greatness in this. Edgar Allan Poe died a very impoverished man, as did Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. Very impoverished man, right? I think those two dudes died with very little to their name. But look at the legacy of it. Look at the legacy of what they left behind. You know, are podcasters going to be spoken about in the same conversation with, like, Basquiat's and who else is out there, man? Keith Haring's. Are those conversations happening now, where you listen to a podcast and you just say to yourself, man, that was art? And if so, how? How do you make your podcast art? Is it just automatically art because it's content? Because you're creating something? Does it automatically make it content? Or do you have to give it, like, a little kiss? You know? Do you have to, like, Chef Boyardee it, mwah, like Chef Kiss your podcast to make it art? So let's go down the gambit, right? Let's go down the gambit of forms of podcasts. A lot of podcasts are just recorded conversations. A group of friends, or not friends in some cases, and, it could be 50-50, sit in a circle with microphones, technology. They record these conversations. They apply intro, outro. They apply graphics if it's a visual podcast. And they throw it on the internet, hoping that people will listen to it or watch it, right? So, bada bing, bada boom. Does that automatically make it art? They put all those pieces together like a puzzle. Does that automatically make it art? Now, I think realistically, like I said, if it's a checkoff list, if it's an algorithm, if it's just like a formula that you're following for podcasting, then I would say no, it really isn't art. If it's just get as much pieces of content out there as possible, then is it art? Probably not, right? Probably not. So what you really got to say to yourself is, how much personality are you putting into what you're doing? And I ask myself that all the time too. I'll throw up like pieces of content every day on Instagram, TikTok. Now I'm doing YouTube Shorts. I'm going live 4 days a week. I'm doing interviews 2 days a week. All this content I'm creating, right? Hours and hours and hours. While Martin Scorsese is working on a 1 hour piece of media that takes him a year to make. In my case, it makes me 2 hours to produce this podcast every day, or produce this YouTube series. A little bit longer if you count the live from Bravery Studios. Takes me probably 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week, probably, in total of all work. 10 hours a week versus probably, I don't know, thousands of hours over the course of a year to create The Wolf of Wall Street, right? Or Goodfellas, or Pulp Fiction, or what, all that other stuff. I know Pulp Fiction is not a Scorsese, but I just started rambling movies that I like. And those things are definitely art. You can't take that away from these people, Martin Scorsese came out with the argument saying, "Hey, dude, Marvel content is not cinema. It's not cinema. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's just an amusement park ride. And, you can't put that in the same conversation. That cannot be in the same conversation as what I do. I make art. I make cinema. Cinema, that word, it just has like a powerful connotation, right? Like, hey, I'm not making, a theme park ride. I'm making art over here. And which side of the fence are podcasters on then, right? Which side of the fence? Like how much personality, how much love and vision and creativity are you putting into what you're doing to make it art, to make some podcasts art, to stand out from the rest of the pack that are out there that aren't art, right? That are just content. I feel like in my situation, right? And I'm going to be really blunt with myself. I feel like what I'm doing is just content. I don't think it's art. I don't think it's art. Not yet. Not yet. I'm getting there, right? I hope to get there. But I haven't made my masterpiece yet. I haven't had a masterpiece of an episode. I watch back episodes and I never say to myself like, wow, that's the one. That's the one I'm going to be remembered for the rest of my life. I haven't put out a Instagram story. It's like that's it right there. That's what they're going to remember me for. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And the way it's absorbed too, right? You go to a museum or you stand in front of a Basquiat and you just absorb it. You're sitting there absorbing it. Or like through the internet, through social media, we look at something for probably 3 seconds. How much do we absorb in those 3 seconds, right? How much are we absorbing in those 3 seconds? How much can even be absorbed in 3 seconds? Is a real question, right? Now, like I said, in my case, I don't feel like I've created art yet. But I'm trying. I am trying. And I am attempting. Most of the decisions I make are in the sake of art, right? And in the most amount of art I can make in one frame, 1080 by 1920, right? I'm trying to make art with a still camera. How am I attempting this? Right? Visually, mainly visually. I haven't landed on the audio aspect of it, not in Marv in the Morning yet. Or maybe somewhat. I try to create inflections in my voice. I try to emphasize certain words that when listening to this, there's a piece of heart and soul put into each thing that I say. It's thought behind thought, right? I'm putting thought behind the words that I'm saying, the thoughts that are ringing out of my mouth. Thought behind thought. And the way I'm saying it, the way I'm delivering it. Am I being too pretentious here? Maybe. But like I said, I'm trying to make it art. I am definitely there. I'm definitely there trying to achieve art here every time I go live. And not just make it another piece of content. Am I there yet? No, not yet. But audio-wise, like I said, inflections, emphasis. I have a mean list when I listen back to my episodes, and I'm like, oh, but at the same time, it's something to make you stand out. It's a flaw that makes you stand out, right? On the visual side, the decisions I've made, right? Just this microphone stand. You got the, I don't know what you even call these things. The overhead. No, it's a Street Fighter term. The curtains behind me. The frame with a picture of a person. The wood, the blue. Red, white, and blue. The red, blue, and wood. I've got a fascination for wood. I think wood is like solid clay. You can almost make any shape out of wood, and it's just sanding it, cutting it. It just feels good to do for me. It's very, very appeasing to my cerebro. That's why you can even see the samurai swords behind me are in wooden casing. Because I tried to not make it look like a samurai sword. This is art. This is art. Um, those are the decisions. That's what goes through my head when I set up an episode. How can I get as close to art as possible? You know, me and Matt were having that discussion with Martin Scorsese and Marvel. That episode probably isn't going to be out till like next year at this point, but um, man had some interesting takes, and definitely I like what he was saying. He's an artiste. I think Matt. You know, I wish I could be like Matt. Matt's an artist. When you see his pictures, when you think about what he does, and when you wonder what happened with the Afternoon FM thing that we did, he's trying to achieve art. He doesn't want to just put content out there. He was telling me his inspirations and what kind of podcast he listens to get an idea for what he wants to do. He was giving me these sites and these apps with very, very abstract podcasts. And I thought it was gorgeous and beautiful. But it also lends itself to, okay, so you want to be abstract. But abstract means you could be anything. You just got to be, it's almost just like being different, but in a thoughtful way. Being different in a thoughtful way, not just for the sake of being different, right? But I admire that. I admire that about him. I admire Joe Fucarino. I mean, shout out to Jersey Media and Therapy Without a Degree podcast. Joe took his podcast and made it into a TV show, made it into a movie. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful idea. Genius idea. He turned his podcast into art. Is it a podcast anymore at that point? Debatably. Debatably. Is it art? Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely art. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'm on that road too. You know, the way we absorb content now so fast has led this to become like a rat race. A rat race to see who could put out the most content, who could be the most consistent, who can just throw out content like every day. But it's at the sacrifice of art. It definitely comes at the sacrifice of art. Shout out to Derek, DJ DD in the house. Gonna be chopping it up with him this Saturday. Derek. But yeah, dude. Is podcasting art? Yo, Derek, do you think podcasting is art? Or is it just content? Are we just throwing out content? Or is it actual art? Like I was saying before, I feel like what I'm doing is just content. I don't think I've landed art yet. I'm trying so hard to get there, though. I'm trying mondo hard to get there. But yeah, dude, it's unfortunate that we have to run this rat race, especially as a startup. You know, if you're a podcaster that's come from already having a big following. If you're a movie star that starts a podcast, you already have a huge following. You're good. If you are coming from any type of celebrity, you move your following over into the podcasting world. You got it easy, buddy. I mean, I know you worked hard to get to your celebrity status, and in most cases, right? Not always, but most cases. So, us startup podcasters have to run this rat race just to gain new followers, to find new people to watch what you're doing. Derek says it's both. He says it's art and podcast. Elaborate, Derek. Elaborate. Someone will think it's content, but in some people's eyes, it's an art. Oh, he's right. It's all in the eye of the beholder, right? It's all a matter of perspective and subjective opinion, right? Now, some people might see what I'm doing and consider it art. But I guess at that point, then it really comes from internally whether I think what I'm doing is art or content just yet. And like I said, I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm just creating content at this point. But I'm working really hard with the decisions I make to make it into art. Even walking up here with like a paintbrush, I'm attempting it. Now, in terms of legacy, tell me, Derek, do you think in 100 years we will still be discussing Joe Rogan's podcast? The same way we would discuss, ancient Greek philosophers or great writers you know, of our time. Ernest Hemingway and Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft. Are we going to hold podcasting, the medium itself, to the esteem that we hold novels, that we hold great pieces of cinema, that we hold amazing pieces of music? You know, is podcasting in that space where like there will be a museum built? This is the podcasting Hall of Fame over here. And, you know, let's see what Derek says. We had a lot of followers that loved our show because content we were putting out was art for them, but not in the visual sense. I hear what you're saying. I hear where you're coming from, dude. I totally hear where you're coming from. Not in a visual sense. You know, I guess like you said, it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of internal subjective thought. You know, it's a matter of internal perspective thought. A lot of what I think I do is definitely content, but I try to like give it a chef's kiss of art. You know, even the designing a set, the clothing choices I decide to wear. You know, I do it for the sake of art. You know, fashion is art, absolutely. So I guess overall, what I'm trying to say is, guys, even though you are creating content, everything is content. Even art itself is content, right? In most cases, you know. Try to give what you're doing a chef's kiss, Bravehearts. Try to put some love and soul and personality into what you're doing. You know, there's a reason I don't watch the news. I always consider the penalty box art. The penalty box was definitely art. The penalty box was definitely art. That's for sure, dude. That's for sure. I still got the fire alarm light somewhere around here. But yeah, Bravehearts. I think in conclusion, I will say, put some heart, put some love, put some soul into what you're doing in the podcasting realm, into your podcast. It'll make you happier. It'll give it legacy. It'll give it legacy. You put thought into what you were doing. I do believe there will be a college classes on professional podcasting where they talk about the history of podcasting. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, radio is definitely where podcasting was born. Realistically, what Howard Stern was doing in the 80s and the 90s, in the early 2000s, was definitely podcasting, because it was more about the conversation than it was about the movie. It was more about the spoken word than the music. The music was there, but people came to hear what Howard Stern had to say and who he was saying it to and what was being said back to him in return, right? That was podcasting. Howard Stern was podcasting. You know, it was about the spoken word, recorded spoken word. What he did was art. I will say, yeah, Howard Stern, what he did was art. You know, a lot of it was trashy art, but art is art. Art is subjective. Art can be anything, right? I think Howard Stern is definitely someone that will be remembered in 100 years. I think he'll be part of this class that Derek's talking about over here. You know, absolutely, he'll definitely be part of the class that Derek's talking about. So he said 1,000%, 1,001 even, right? 1,001. We can only hope to achieve what that man's achieved in his lifetime, right? And he's still going. The man's still kicking. Still satellite radio, I believe, and I'm sure he's on the other podcasting sites as well. But yeah, Bravehearts. In conclusion, once again, give what you're doing a little chef's kiss, Bravehearts. Put some heart, put some soul into it, some affection. Be like Don Quixote over here. Romanticize what you're doing. Romanticize podcasting. You know, I was having an interesting conversation with one of my podcasters yesterday about not yesterday, Monday, about Che Guevara. The reason Che Guevara is admired and loved, and people are buying his T-shirt, his face T-shirts, because he was the romantic warrior. He was the romantic person face. He was the romantic face of the revolution. He put a romance behind it. Hey, we're fighting for freedom, man. We're fighting for the revolution. Viva la revolution, right? I'm not saying be like Che Guevara, because his name can be perceived differently by different people. Very negative lights, whatever you want to call it. But be the romantic podcaster. Romanticize what you're doing. That's what I'll say about that. But yeah, Bravehearts, it's been a good one. It's been real. Add the sazon and adobo. You need to add flair to your podcast to stand out. Bingo. Couldn't have said it better myself. Put some heart into what you're doing, Bravehearts. Put some heart into it. We'll be back tomorrow. I think I already have a list of topics for tomorrow. If I can find it. Somewhere out there. Make sure it's your unique thing. That too. You create art, do it your own way. Our personalities are art. We are a piece of art. We are all a piece of art. But that's all I got for you today, Bravehearts. Stay brave and keep on keeping on. Be back tomorrow with more bravery. Peace.